I wasn't searching for anything that evening. There was no intention to flirt, no hidden desire for affection. I was simply exhausted, physically worn and emotionally hollow, just waiting for the storm to pass, so I could continue restoring the weathered cabin I'd gotten in the divorce. That night, I only wanted peace. But fate tends to arrive when your defenses are low and your heart is laid bare. I was 39, freshly divorced and emotionally detached. Not the kind of detachment that leaves you crying into your pillow, but the quiet kind, where even joy feels muted. I kept telling myself I was fine, that time would fix the emptiness. But solitude has a way of echoing through a quiet house in the woods. Healing can feel like isolation when the silence grows too loud. That cabin was meant to be my reset button. All I had left was a divorce settlement and the key to a home that needed rebuilding, inside and out. It needed everything: new walls, fresh wiring, plumbing, and maybe, somehow, new purpose. Ben and Caleb were helping, not as hired contractors, but as two generous souls lending their time. Foster brothers with a bond that outlived the system that raised them. I first met Ben at the hardware store. I was overwhelmed, asking too many questions about studs and spacing, and he offered to lend a hand. A few days later, Caleb came with him. He wore paint-splattered jeans and carried a laugh that could cut through the heaviest grief. They showed up each morning. Caleb often arrived later, always with a reason, always grinning. Ben was measured, calm, thoughtful. Caleb was bold, impulsive, unfiltered in a way that left me blushing more than once. But they respected my space, until the night the rain wouldn't stop. We had just finished tearing out the bathroom walls when the power flickered and thunder cracked like it was tearing the sky apart. The roads into town had flooded. Ben looked at me and said, "There's a small motel about 2 miles down the ridge. We can wait the storm out there." His voice was casual, but something shifted between us in that moment. I agreed. The motel was old and forgotten. One lamp flickered weakly in the corner. The air smelled faintly of mildew and old takeout. There were 2 beds, but I only remember one. It started with laughter, wet shoes, the lights blinking, and Caleb cursing at the vending machine that stole his dollar. Then the laughter faded, and a heavy silence took its place, the kind that presses close, thick and charged. Ben handed me a towel, and when our fingers touched, we held each other's eyes just a beat too long. Caleb leaned back on the bed, eyes distant, and said, "This night's already weird." Might as well say what we're all thinking. I didn't look away from Ben when I answered. I just said it. Words that cracked the air open. Only if you take turns. I didn't recognize the voice as mine. Maybe it came from 15 months of untouched skin. Or from the way they looked at me like I wasn't broken, just unfinished. The silence that followed lasted only a moment. Ben stepped forward. Caleb sat up, eyes wide. My breath caught. The rest unfolded in stillness. No words, just the feel of hands at my waist, a kiss brushing my shoulder, the heat of 2 bodies surrounding me like I was something cherished. They didn't compete. They didn't dominate. They shared me, carefully, reverently, like I was something to be honored, not conquered. My shirt lifted slowly. My body trembled, not from fear, but from a deep, aching recognition, like my soul had finally been seen. It wasn't rough or romantic. It was something entirely its own, desperate and soft, wrapped in silence. One touched me while the other watched. My eyes shut, my barriers dropped, and I let it happen. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of what we did, but because something inside me cracked wide open, and I didn't know how to put it back. They didn't return the next day. No calls. No rumbling truck in the driveway. Just quiet. By day 3, I broke. I drove into town and wandered the hardware store, pretending to browse for nails. Ben spotted me first. "You okay?" he asked gently. I dropped my eyes. "I don't know," I whispered. He nodded. Caleb hasn't said much either. "Maybe we broke something," I said. "Or maybe we uncovered something," Ben replied. That week, they came back. Not with explanations. Not with regrets. just with donuts, power tools, and a silent understanding that we weren't just rebuilding walls anymore. We were reconstructing something deeper, something we didn't yet have the words for. The tension never faded. It lived in every brush of Ben's shoulder when he leaned close to show me how to hold the level. In every accidental graze of fingers when Caleb passed me a wrench. Every glance felt like it might fracture the moment. One evening, I was in the kitchen when Ben reached past me for a cabinet. Suddenly, we were chest to chest and my back hit the counter. His breath grazed my cheek. Neither of us moved. 10 seconds stretched into forever. Then he stepped away like it cost him something. Later that night, Caleb stood outside by the truck, staring at the clouds. "You scare me," he murmured. "Not because I don't want you. Because I do too much." It unraveled again on a quiet Sunday night. No construction. No tools. Just the three of us in the half-finished living room, sharing a bottle of bourbon and too many ghosts. I finally said what none of us wanted to admit. "We can't keep circling this." Ben looked at me, steady but torn. Caleb remained silent. I stood, walking toward the kitchen, needing air, needing distance. But I felt them behind me. I turned around. I didn't run. Ben reached out, his hand cupping my cheek with such tenderness it nearly undid me. Caleb was there, warm at my back. "Only if you want this," Ben whispered. And I did. God help me, I did. That night was different. No storm to hide behind. No musty motel room. Just a choice, raw, vulnerable, and entirely mine. They kissed me slowly, reverently, like I was something sacred. And I let them. Because I needed to remember I was still alive. That I was still someone worth touching. We didn't talk afterward. Just laid there, tangled in silence, breathless. As if we had survived something dangerous and divine. 3 days passed with no word. Then Ben returned. He looked tired, but his eyes were sure. "I don't regret it," he said. "But I don't know what comes next." Neither did I. Eventually, we finished the cabin. Every beam and nail carried the weight of what had happened. When they said they'd keep things simple, I nodded. Okay. But nothing inside me felt simple. It all felt raw, exposed. When they finally left, it wasn't together. Separate trucks. No goodbyes. No parting glances. I stood barefoot on the porch, clutching a mug that had long gone cold, heart aching with confusion over where it belonged. Weeks later, I found a note under a stone on the porch. No names. Just a few words that pierced me. "We didn't leave because we wanted to. We left because we didn't want to hurt you more. But if you ever want us, really want us, you know where to find us." I haven't gone after them. Not yet. But I haven't thrown the note away either. Some wounds don't heal. You just carry them. Some moments aren't mistakes. They're truths wrapped in forms too fragile to last. And maybe that night wasn't the end. Maybe it was the beginning of something I still haven't found the courage to face.